Okay, linear inequality. So in the previous lesson, we have learned the first subtopic here, the inequality. That is, what are inequality? You still remember what are inequality? Do you still remember? Inequality?
Yes.
Again? You give me answer here, is it? Okay, Putri, you want to answer? What is inequality? You misclick. The rest, what is inequality? Inequality is the relationship between two quantity that is not having the
Same balance.
very good. So when you have two quantity, the value is different. Okay, we compare the relationship. We call it inequality. Okay, for example, your age and my age. How old are you right now?
13.
13. Okay, my age of course is not 13, right? So when I compare your age and mine over here, the relationship over here, because it's not the same,
Is
so we call it inequality. Yeah, you have any question?
No.
Okay, so the first one we have learned in the last lesson. Today we are going to enter the second one here. The second one is what are the properties of inequalities? So we are going to learn this for converse property, the first one, converse property, transitive property of inequality, very simple, these two, and then additive inverse and multiplicative inverse. So we are going to look at the example on how to get all of these first. Let's see, this is actually the exploration activity from your textbook. Okay, let's do this together. Complete each sentence in A for each of the following quizzes. Fill in the boxes for B using the inequality symbol, the greater than or less than. So let us complete the sentence first. The first one, complete the sentence. After that, we fill in this one. Okay, look at quiz 1 here. There are two fellow which looks very cute, Aina and Badru. Do we have Aina in this class? I think so, right?
Yes.
Aina, does it look like you, Aina? Small. Okay, we look at the question here. If Aina is shorter than Badru, shorter, right? If you compare the height, then Badru is what, Aina? What should we fill in here?
Taller.
Very good. He is taller than Aina.
Taller than I.
Okay, now if Aina's height, what should we fill in for the inequality here? Badru's height. Aina with Badru.
Less than.
Very good, because she is shorter. Then Badru's height is
Greater than.
greater than because he is taller than Aina. Simple, right? Now we move on to the second quiz. Also using the number line right now. Okay, so we have the number line. You see the red dot is pointing at 6 and also 9 here. If 6 is less than 9, so 6 is less than 9, correct, right? Because it's on the left. Then 9, what should we fill in here?
Greater than.
Is greater than.
Very good. Is greater than 6. Okay, so now the inequality sign. If 6 is less than, so we use the less than symbol. Then the next one, 9 is
greater than.
Greater than. Okay, very good. Most of you can answer this. Now we continue with quiz 3 here. So we have negative 12 and negative 9. So from the number line, which one is bigger?
Negative 9.
It's on the right, so it's greater over here. So when we compare negative 9 with negative 12, yes, negative 9 is
greater than.
correct. Hold on. I don't know why it's always like this. It becomes smaller. It's greater than, my spelling mistake, greater, negative 12. Then negative 12, if you compare negative 12,
is less than.
Very good. Is less than negative 9. So over here, you know how to fill already, right? You just follow this. Is greater than. You use the symbol of greater than. And then for the second one, it's less than symbol. Less than symbol. Very good. Now, we have 2 more to go here. So quiz 4, we have A and 8. So A is on the left, smaller. 8 is on the right, greater. So if A is what?
Is less than.
Yes, correct. Very good. You're getting better. Is less than. And then 8 will be is
More is
greater.
greater than.
Correct. So the symbol you just follow, if A is less than 8, then 8 is less than A. Okay? Just like you, if your age is less than mine, then my age is greater than yours. Okay? It's just the opposite. Okay, the last one here, quiz 5. Not the last one, sorry, the second last. If Aina, so we have a comparison of 3 person right now. You can see Aina, Badru, and Chan. This one, maybe my brother, this one. If Aina is shorter than Badru, so you can see Aina shorter than Badru, and Badru is shorter than Chan. So Badru is shorter than Chan over here. Then Aina, when you compare to Chan, these two only, what happened? Is she taller or shorter than Chan?
Is shorter than.
Shorter.
Shorter. Aina is shorter than Chan. So that's the conclusion. If Aina's height is less than Badru's height, so Badru's height is less than Chan's height, then conclusion, Aina's height is less than Chan's height. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes, huh?
Yes.
For example, I give you 3 numbers over here. I have a 0, I have 2, I have -2. If I said -2 is less than 0, and then 0 is less than 2. So if I just want you to compare in between -2 and 2, what is the symbol to be represented here?
Less than.
Correct, less than, because you just compare these two. When -2 is less than 0, 0 is less than 2, for sure -2 is also less than 2. So you can see from the number line here, -2 is less than 2. They skipped the 0 already. Okay? Now we continue with the last one. I think this is the last one. Quiz number 6. So we have a number line. It's not the last one. Sorry again. Okay, we have 3 points here, -3, -1, 2. Some of you are not familiar on the left-hand side over here. You got to always remember the smaller number for the negative number is actually bigger than the one that is big. You have a greater number here because of the sign. So it makes it smaller. Okay, it is -1, -2, -3, not -1, -2, -3. Okay, it goes this way. The 1, 2, 3 goes this way. Like this one goes this way, this one goes this way. Okay, if -3 is less than -1 and -1, 2, what should we fill in here?
Less than.
Yeah, is less than -2. Then now they compare -3 and 2. So what is the conclusion here?
Is less than.
It's very good. It is less than. Okay, now B. So they just simplify everything using the symbol. Is if -3, -1. So these two meanings it is less than. And then -1 and 2. This one. So meanings also less than. Then -3 is less than 2. That is the conclusion. Okay. Do you have any question?
No.
No.
Okay, now we look at this one. A, 4, 9. So the one on the right is always bigger. 9 is bigger than 4, 4 is bigger than A. Or we can say A is less than 4, 4 is less than 9. Okay, if A, 4, A and 4. So A bigger or smaller?
Smaller.
Smaller, right? So we use is less than. Okay, is less than. Okay, next one. And 4 also is less than. Now then A and 9. So compare A and 9. So conclusion, A is less than. Good. So everything that we just follow, change it to the symbol. If A is less than 4 and 4 is less than 9, then A is less than 9. Okay? Do you understand, class?
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
now,
Yes.
so from this exploration activity, it is found that if A is less than B, then B is greater than A. This is the one that we learned just now lah. If 2 is less than 3, then 3 is greater than 2, the other way around. That is the converse property of inequality. So you learned this already. That is the converse. Converse means something like you change it the other way around, from left to right, right to left. So converse property. Okay, so if A is less than B, then B is greater than A. This one you understand, right? This one's very simple. Understand or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now we look at the next one. If A is less than B and B is less than C, like this, if A is less than B, B is less than C, then A is less than C. So you compare the first one and the last one. So A is less than C. We call this transitive property of inequality. Okay, these two. So you remember the word. The first one is converse property. The second one is transitive property, meaning transitive, something like it skipped the middle, transitive property. Okay, now we look at the example given here. Here, write the converse property of inequality. So we want the converse. Hopefully you still remember converse. You change it the other way around. Okay, so the first one, 10 is less than 24. Anyone can give me the answer?
24 is greater than 10.
Yes, very good. 24 is greater than 10. That's the answer. Okay, what about number 2 here? Negative 4 is greater than 13. So what will be the answer?
Negative 13 is less than negative 4.
Negative 13 is
Less than negative 4.
very
Less
good.
than
Less
negative
than
4.
negative 4. You just change everything the other way around. Okay, now I move to the next one here. B. Write the transitive property of inequality, negative 5 less than negative 1 less than 9. Okay, now I'm going to call your name. See who can answer it for me. Camelia, can you answer it for me, Camelia? Camelia? Camelia, can you answer for me? I think Ahmad Dawisi is already here. Let me check. Still not here. He's the only one. Camelia can answer or not?
Maybe Camelia eating.
Okay, Awang Haris, are you there? Awang Haris. Awang Haris once. Awang Haris twice. Awang Haris twice. 3 times already.
Maybe he got to toilet.
Don't know. So many. Next time, whenever you go around, bring your laptop together. Or if you're using phone, bring your phone together. Don't just leave your laptop away. Then you miss the lesson, isn't it? Like in school, if teacher is teaching in the class, you go to the toilet. Also, you miss the lesson. But if teacher in the class, you need to ask permission. You are going to the toilet. Teacher will wait for you. But this one, when you go to the toilet, I don't know. I cannot wait for you. I keep talking over here. So you will miss the lesson. That's not good. You afraid your laptop jatuh dalam toilet bowl. Letak atas satu kerusi. Letak kerusi di dalam. Okay, never mind. Can I ask for Dalisha's help? Dalisha, can or not? Oh, Camelia is here already. Negative 5 is less than 9. Let us see whether it's correct or not. Yes, very good. Camelia, you got it right. Negative 5 is less than 9. So you know how to simplify it already. So we call this transitive property. Okay, the first one, converse property. So this two is very simple, as I said just now. So do you have any questions so far, class, for these two?
No.
No.
All right, okay, now we move on. We move on to this few over here. It looks a lot of steps, but I will summarize everything for you later on. So we just go through first. Here, the first one. The inequality symbol remains unchanged when adding or subtracting a positive or negative number to or from both sides of the inequality. It's a very long explanation over here. I just want to let you know, when you add or subtract a positive number, the inequality sign remain unchanged. You can see the inequality sign over here. It remain unchanged. For example, if A is less than B, A is less than B. If I compare, I give you example. 1 is less than 2. Correct, right? So A plus C is less than B plus C. For example, the C is a 1. So 1 plus 1, 2 plus 1 here. The answer will be 2 and 3. So they are still less than, right? 2 and 3. So you see, the symbol remain unchanged because the value is still representing the correct thing. You see, 3 is greater than 2. 2 is less than 3. Okay, that is the meaning over here. Whenever you add a number, the same number, the inequality sign remain unchanged. Okay, you remember this, remain unchanged. Same thing when you subtract. When you subtract, so for example, I have 1 just now, right? I minus 1. The 2 also, I minus 1. So let us see. 1 minus 1 equal to 0, right? 2 minus 1 equal to 1. So when we compare, you see the arrow, the symbol remains unchanged. It is still the same. Okay? Now, if you add a negative number, if you plus a negative number here, or you minus a negative number, same thing, the symbol remain unchanged. So you can see the smart tips on the right over here. The first two is the one that we mentioned. When you plus a number, it remain unchanged. When you minus a number, it remain unchanged. When you plus a negative number, also remain unchanged. Because why? Because positive times negative is like 2 minus 3, 6 minus 3. 6 minus 3 is 3. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. So it still remain unchanged. When you minus a negative number, also remain unchanged. Okay? So for example, I give you a question here. I have 3 and 7. 3 is less than 7, right? Now, can you tell me, if I use 3 plus 10, 7 plus 10, what is the symbol to be represented here? Greater than or less than?
Less than.
Yeah,
Less than.
Unchanged, less than. Okay, now I give you another question. I use a bigger number. 11 is greater than 4, correct, right? So now I use minus. 11 minus 5. 4 minus 5. So what is the symbol here in the middle?
Is
Greater
greater than.
Greater than, because it remains unchanged. You can see the answer. 11 minus 5 is 6. 4 minus 5 is negative 1. So yes, 6 is greater than negative 1. So remember, when you add or when you subtract a number, it remains unchanged. Okay, now we move on to the second one. This one also remain unchanged. Remain unchanged when we multiply or divide with a positive number. Okay, you can see when you multiply with a positive number, it remains unchanged. For example, 1 is less than 3. When I multiply with a positive number, 3 times 2. What is the symbol? The symbol is
Less than.
less than. Why? Because you can see the answer will be the same. 1 times 2, 2. 3 times 2, 6. So 2 is still less than 6. Okay? So same thing when you divide. You can see here when you divide. Okay, I give you example. 2 is less than 4. Now I use 2 divided by 2. 4 divided by 2. So you will know that 2 divided by 2 is equal to 1, right? 4 divided by 2 is 2.
2.
So you see,
Less
it
than.
remains unchanged. Can you remember this?
Sure.
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 Okay, so I summarize this 4 for you. I summarize all of it for you up here. When you add a number, when you subtract a number, when you multiply, multiply a positive number, it must be positive, or when you divide a positive number, all the symbol remain unchanged. Easy, you just need to copy very fast. For example, without calculation also, you can give me the answer already. I give you a very big number. For example, 59. less than 146. So I said 59 plus 256. 146 plus 256. What is the answer in the middle here?
Is less
Less
than.
You just need to copy down because these two numbers is the same. So the answer will be always fixed, which is you copy down the sign as long as this number is less than this. Or what you can do is you can just ignore this and you just need to compare the first one. Then you can get the sign here in the middle already. Okay? So now let's see the next one. Next one, it will change. What happened over here is like this. When the direction of the inequality symbol, it will be reversed when multiplying on both sides by a negative number. So just now, that's why I'm very particular with the positive just now. When you multiply or divide with a negative number, negative. Multiply or divide with a negative number, the symbol will change. They will change. Okay, so you can look at the given example over here. For example, 2 is less than 6. So then multiply with a negative number. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. So when you compare on the number line here, actually the negative 6 is greater than negative 18. So the symbol change when you multiply with a negative number. You can see over here, originally it's like this. Once you multiply with a negative number, this one changed already. So it becomes greater than. I give you a simple number on the number line. Okay, for example, I have 1 and 2. So 1 is less than 2. Now the 1 and the 2, I multiply with negative 2. I multiply with negative 2. Once I multiply with a negative number, the symbol change directly. Okay, so you can give me the answer already over here. 1 times negative 2 is equal to?
Negative 2.
Negative 2, correct. What about 2 times negative 2? This one.
Negative
Negative
4.
4.
Negative 4. So if you compare on a number line here, this is negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. So you can see negative 2 is greater than negative 4. Correct already, right?
Yes.
So you remember, whenever you multiply with a negative number, the symbol change directly here. Change directly, yeah? Okay, I'll give you another example for the division. So if you look at the smart tips over here, we go through the smart tips first. This one, 2 originally less than 6. When you divide by a negative number, the symbol change, you can see. You change it directly yourself. You know why? Because the answer will become the other way around. So 2 divided by negative 2 is negative 1. 6 divided by negative 2 is negative 3. So negative 1 on the number line is greater than negative 3. So you can see the number line that I have over here. Negative 1 is in front here. Sorry, negative 1 is here. So negative 1, when you compare with negative 3, negative 1 is greater than negative 3. That's why this is correct already. Okay, once you divide by a negative number, you change the sign. I'll give you another example for division. Just now is multiplication. So simple answer. Again, I use 1 in, I don't want to use 1 and 2. I use 2 and 4. So 2 is less than 4. Now I use the 2 divide by a negative number, negative 2, for example. So 4, I also divide by negative 2. What should I write in the middle for the symbol here? What should I write?
Greater.
Very good. Directly you change it to greater. You just remember, whenever you multiply or divide by a negative number, directly you change the symbol the other way around. If it is less than, become greater. If it is greater, becomes less than. Okay, so then you get the answer for the first one here. 2 divided by negative 2 is negative 1. 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2. So copy down the symbol. Okay, so if you don't know how to compare this, you can see I compare it on the number line. So if this is 0, this is -1, this is -2, then you compare. -1, this is -1, it is greater than -2, correct, right? Because -1 is to the right of -2. Understand, class?
Yes.
Yes, huh?
Yes.
So now I move on. That is about multiply and divide with a negative number. It changed. Okay. So next one. When both sides of the inequality are multiplied by -1. When both sides are multiplied by -1, the direction of the inequality is reversed like this. Okay. So for example, you can see the smart tips on the right here. 2 is less than 6. If you multiply 2 with -1, 6 with -1, you change the symbol right away. So 2 times -1 is -2. 6 times -1 is -6. So -2 is greater than -6. That's correct. Okay, now I give you another question also. 1 is less than 3. If I said -1 and -3, so what is the symbol here?
Greater
More
than.
greater than.
Yes, correct, greater than, because I already multiplied both of it with a negative sign. Okay, so if you compare on the number line, you will also notice that it is correct. If this is -1, -2, -3, so you can see -1 is greater than -3. Okay, originally 1 is less than 3. Yes, it is also correct. 1, 2, 3. So this is 1, 2, 3. 1 is less than 3. It's on the left. So also correct, right? So it proves that when you multiply with a negative number, it is reverse. So we call this additive inverse, the first one. Additive inverse. Means over here, you multiply with a -1, you are going to get a reverse sign of the inequality. Okay? So I move on with the last one, the multiplicative inverse. Just now is additive inverse. A lot, huh? You learn the converse, you learn the transitive, now you learn the multiplicative. Okay, multiplicative is like this. When you perform reciprocal, reciprocal means you change them becomes a fraction. For example, if I have 2 less than 5, so I will change it becomes 1/2, 1/5. When I change it becomes a reciprocal, same thing, the sign will change. Okay, why? If you think carefully, 2 is less than 5, correct, right? On the number line. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 is less than 5, correct, right? Then if you think about when it comes to fraction, 1/2 is greater than 1/5, correct or not?
Correct.
Correct, right? If I change it into a circle, you can see 1/2, half of it. 1/5 is like this. 1/5 so small. Yeah, of course, half is more than 1/5. So this is proven correct. Okay, now I give you an example. You let me know the answer because I'm going to do the multiplicative inverse. So the multiplicative inverse for 1 and 3. 1 is less than 3. So when I change to multiplicative inverse, it will be the reciprocal. Use this word, reciprocal. Reciprocal means it becomes 1/1. And then this is 1/3. 1/1, you might be confused. So once I change it to reciprocal, the sign will change. Okay, it is proven also. You see, 1/1. 1/1 means one whole circle. 1/3 means 1/3 only. So 1/1 is greater than 1/3. Okay, I give you another example which is more clearer for you to identify. For example, 2 and 7. Okay, 2 is less than 7, right? If I change it to reciprocal, 1/2 and 1/7. So what is the symbol in the middle?
Greater than.
Greater than.
It changed directly. So you understand already, yeah? Because half of course is greater than 1/7. 1/7 is a lot here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1/7 is so small. So 1/2 is greater than 1/7. Understand that, class?
Yes.
Yes, huh? So
Yes.
yeah, that's all for the lesson. I'm going to summarize everything again to see whether you understand or not. So first, just now you learned about this, the converse property. Sorry, not this one. The converse property and the transitive property. Converse property means if A is less than B, B is greater than A. And then the transitive property, you compare three values together. A less than B less than C, so A is less than C. If I change it the other way around, X, Y, Z, I use X, Y, Z. If X is greater than Y, greater than Z, then if I want to compare X and Z, what is the symbol here? Any answer?
Is greater than.
It's greater than. It also applied the same thing over here. It doesn't apply only just for less than. Greater than also the same if you compare like this. Because I asked you to compare X and Z right now. So, of course, X is greater than Z. Okay, this is called the transitive property. The first one, converse property. Okay, so we move on. After this, you learn this. Remember, when you add or subtract, when you multiply or divide, add, subtract, multiply, or divide with a positive number, the symbol remain unchanged. It's the same. When you multiply or divide with a negative number, the symbol change straight away. You can see when you multiply with a negative number, the symbol change straight away from the less than over here. Same with this one. When you divide, also it change. And then when it comes to the additive, additive means you multiply with a negative one number, so the symbol change. And then the last one is the multiplicative inverse. Inverse means song sang, terbalik. So you change it to reciprocal, so the sign will also change. Okay, I think basically you might have difficulty in memorizing these two. I repeat again for you all. For example, if I give you -2 greater than -5. Now I use additive inverse. Additive inverse means I multiply with a -1. So -2 becomes +2. This becomes 5. What is the symbol in the middle?
Less than.
Yes, it becomes less than directly. Easier to understand. Now, if I have a multiplicative inverse, again, I give you another example. 10 is greater than 5. So if I change into 1/10 and 1/5, what will be the sign for this one?
Greater than.
Is it still greater than? When you change your reciprocal,
Less
it
than.
will be less than. Correct. It's the other way around. Okay, Do you have any question?
No.